Welcome to the Understanding by Design template overview. Today we're looking at stage 1, identifying the desired results. If you have a chance, please print out the copy of the template and follow along as we work through this. The first page is pretty straightforward. It starts us off nice and gently into our complicated looking document. We fill in some basic information. What are we planning to teach? Where are we planning to teach it? And so on. We move on to thinking about what specific unit we'd like to take a look at. In this case, I've picked evaluation, since that's a nice 3-week unit and it's fairly discrete. We then give a quick overview in our own words of what this unit is about. Okay, we don't need to go into incredible detail, just what are our students going to learn as a result of taking this unit. We then start to think, though, about how we are going to be measuring this class. We need to think about the external standards that our teaching is held to. So we take a look at what are the professional organizations that oversee our work. In my instance, I've picked 2 national level ones, the National Council of Teachers of English and the Writing Programs Administrators Council. That sort of looks at the larger level philosophical ideas about how we teach composition. But then I've also thought about the fact that I teach at Wright State University and my class is part of the core program that all students must take. So I've looked at what are the general education learning outcomes. And then finally, my department has some standards that it's set for the course. For everybody who teaches it, we teach several units of it each semester, so we need to have some consistency. We still, however, get to pick our own lesson plans and how we meet those goals. So we then start thinking about what are these goals or standards or competencies, and we pull out ones from the professional organizations we've chosen that we would be able to meet using this particular unit. So I've picked some that are fairly specific, that come from my university, but I've also picked some that are larger scale goals from my professional organization and also ones from the English department. Once we've done that and we've given each of them a code, we start to think about the nitty-gritty a little bit more. How are we going to do this in the classroom, and what are our students going to come away with? So we start thinking about transfer skills. Okay? Once students have taken our course, ideally they're going to be able to use what they have learned in other situations. We start thinking about our competency codes, the big overall goals that we're looking at, and our specific goals. What can our students do independently after leaving our class that tie to those competency codes and are something that we can measure? We then start to think a little bit more about the meanings that students are going to acquire in our class. This is the larger level again. What essential questions are they going to be able to figure out? So thought-provoking questions that are more enduring. They're not necessarily about specifics for our class. They're about some of the bigger ideas. So they're still tied to our class though. So we're thinking about the competencies, larger level ones, and our questions that we can provoke in our class. We shouldn't really have like yes, no answers, but things that could have several correct answers. So for example, I have tied question Q4 here to a lot of my core competency goals because I feel like it fits a lot of them. But specifically, I have tied this essential question: how can we understand that someone may genuinely disagree with us about the correctness of a choice or decision? This ties to evaluation and the activities that they'll be doing, the sort of choice that they make and decision that they make about whether something is good, bad, or inappropriate. And it ties to C5, which is about how do we function as citizens in a democracy? How are we civically engaged? How do we engage in a debate? We then tie our core competencies to understandings. What do we want students to get as a result of being in this class? This might be something they've got to figure out for themselves. We can't necessarily just tell them this. They should infer it as a result of the lessons that we have. And finally, acquisition is what traditionally people may think of as courses providing knowledge and skills. Okay, what should students know as a result of this, and what should they be able to do as a result of this? But even so, we still tie these back to the competency codes. We are making sure that the knowledge and skills are in service to the larger goals of the course.